Hi everyone, in this video I'm reviewing the Doxa 1500T and I bought this watch some time ago. Doxa watches are really a must for all the diver watches enthusiasts out there. In addition, I'm also a huge fan of Clive Custer's books with Dirk Pitt as the main character, so that's why these watches are very interesting to me, especially in the orange versions, the so-called professional ones. During the decades, Doxa decided to maintain the same design of the case that goes back basically to the 60s, and all the newer models were released in two different versions, in two different sizes, 42mm and 45mm. For example, there is the 1200T model, which is in 42mm, and there is this one, for example, in the 1500T, which is in 45mm. But the shape of the case, which is basically a cushion case, and the shortness of the lugs really make this watch quite usable for people with not so big wrists. For example, this 1500T here is on my wrist, and just for reference, my wrist is 16.5 centimeters, so it's not a big wrist at all, but compared with other 45mm watches, this one is quite okay to me. Of course, it depends on the preferences, it depends on the habits of everyone. The finishing is very well executed. You can find the brushed finish in circular pattern on the outside of the case, and you can find a double finishing on the bezel, which is polished, mirror polished on the outside and brushed on the inside. The bezel itself is with this very special design, which is very unique to Doxa, and this design is really helpful when you're using the bezel underwater or simply with wet hands. The dial has a very bright orange color, which is also unique to Doxa, and the indices are printed, are not applied ones, and they are in Superluminova C3. The brightness in the darkness is not too strong, to be honest, but it's quite okay. And probably they should have used more layers of Superluminova on these indexes. The dial itself then has very few writings, so you can see just Doxa Automatic on the upper left, and then sub 1500T Professional on the lower part on the right. The side of the case is again polished, mirror polished. You can also see that the lugs are screw type lugs, so you don't have spring bars. The case back has again a mirror finish polish, and in the center you can see the logo of Doxa, this special fish, and on this caseback you can also see many writings. The interesting ones are this one, so with the serial number, and there is also the model type, which is here, sub 1500T, the second, because this one was the second series released with the same name. And in the second release, so like this one, Doxa decided to use the movement Sopord A10 instead of the ETA. The bracelet is not the common bead of rice bracelet that you can find on the other older or smaller in diameter watches from Doxa. This is a more modern style. It has 5 links, and the links have brushed and polished finish. The clasp is probably the most interesting part of this bracelet, because it's not the standard clasp that you can find on the smaller models. This is a special one with the ratcheting mechanism, so you can just adjust the clasp, so you don't need special tools to adjust the clasp. When I bought this watch, this Doxa, back in the end of 2014, I was very undecided between this model and the 1200, the smaller one in 42 millimeters. Basically because I wasn't too sure about the diameter, the size. And the only thing that I could do at that time was just taking a look at some pictures online, because of course these watches are not usually they're not distributed, they're not sold in regular shops. So I think that this part of my review could be useful for other people, other watch enthusiasts that are maybe on the edge between the 42 millimeters size watches and the 45 millimeters size watches by Doxa. So I decided to make some comparisons between this Doxa and two other very common watches for diver watch enthusiasts. And both models are by Seiko, and this one is the SBDX012, and this one is the quartz tuna SBBN015. So as you can see also from the picture, these three watches are quite comparable between each other, at least in size. And also the weight, I checked the weight with the bracelet installed for all these three watches, and all these three watches have the bracelet perfectly sized for my wrist. So the weight go from the 213 grams of the Doxa to the 170 grams of the tuna. Overall, I think that every diver watch enthusiast should check at least once one of these Doxa watches, because I think that the combination of the design of the case, the design of the watches, in addition with the bright orange dial, is a very winning combination. I think that the worst thing about Doxa is probably the price, especially for people interested in buying Doxa divers from European countries, because as soon as you order them from the official website of by Doxa, you get the addition of the taxes, and the price is getting quite steep, even if you consider all the features. But if you decide to go over that price, that maybe the price is not a problem for you, you're going to get a piece of history of watches on your wrist. As usual, I hope that you liked this video, and let me know in the comments. If you don't want to lose my next videos, you should subscribe to my channel, and now you can also follow me on Instagram. You can find the link up here. So see you soon to the next video. Ciao!